now.
Woo! Welcome. Hey guys, welcome to our Chakra Foundations workshop. And I am so pumped that you guys are here for this session. I know Amanda is coming out, just at the finish line of her pregnancy. And I know things have been challenging for her, but we all appreciate her taking the time to put this content together and to keep bringing us back together every month to realign ourselves. And we welcome you guys. So if you're watching this in replay land, give us a shout out. Let us know where you're watching from. If you haven't checked out the past sessions, if you haven't gone back to the recordings, make sure you do that in the file section of the group, so that you can really dive deep into, because we're on a roll here. We're like coming up the finish line as well. So I'm really excited about that. So I'll get myself out of the way because we got lots to cover tonight. And just pass it over to Amanda, who's one of my best friends, my osteopath, sometimes my my seer. She tells me, she's like, I had a dream last night. You got to pay attention to this. So she's everything. And I'm super excited that I get to share her with all of you ladies in the Women's Connection. So yeah, Amanda, you want to take it over?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Layla. As Layla said, my name's Amanda Boodoo. We are coming to the end of the Chakra Foundation workshop. So we really just covered the 3 foundational chakras here. And I hope that in the future, once my baby grows a little bit more, they're still in womb. I'm at the end of my 37th week.
Show us the bump. Show us the bump.
Right on.
Hello, everyone.
There's the bump. So yeah, I'm really getting to that point of just getting into the mojo of prepping for this baby to come into the world. So I do apologize if I sound a little like out of breath, but that's what happens at the end of pregnancy. However, I am so thankful for all of you ladies for joining us tonight. We are going to be covering the healthy development of the solar plexus. So we'll go over a brief overview of what that is. I'll really try to get in about 3 kind of Reiki / meditations in there for us, just to bring us back down again. But as many of you know who have been here in the past, we always like to start off with some Thanksgiving address or some gratitude. So I first and foremost want to thank all of my mentors prior to for passing their knowledge base down so that I can really create these presentations and these workshops for you ladies. And I just also want to thank, the moon cycle. The moon is very sacred in the sense of a woman, and especially a woman who is going to be birthing. And so I just want to thank the moon, as I feel like my baby is in flow with the moon, and I'm very grateful and thankful for that tonight. So if everybody wants to just say one word of gratitude, even if you want to say your name, and if you have any experience with chakras or Reiki in itself. Cynthia?
I'll go.
Okay.
So I am grateful for simplicity. And as I have been, I've never been so excited about my underwear drawer in my life. Like I open it all the time. I'm like, yep, it's still awesome, because it's all folded and organized, and I don't know how long it's going to stay like that, but it feels so good just to clean everything up and have it in its right place, that I feel like it's going to stick. So simplicity.
Great, Layla. Thanks for sharing that.
Who's that? Me?
That's
odd.
Does anybody know? Oh,
that's funny. She came on as me. Yeah, who wants to go next? Your gratitude.
I'm grateful for health. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, health and experience with Reiki. I don't know. I did a few sessions. I didn't much like it. It exhausted me after. I don't know why. like really, really exhausted me. So, but the only experience I really have with meditation was I did like a 12-day workshop and meditated twice a day and then after, like, I couldn't sleep for 2 years, and then I couldn't stay asleep for 2 years. But after day 6 of the meditation, I was sleeping through the night for once, and like I was having sound, restful sleeps, and I was like, maybe there's something, maybe this works. And then, so like ever since then, I've been like really on the wagon. I think that was in November. So.
Awesome, Heather. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's a great takeaway from what meditation can really create for you. Excuse me. So yeah, that's a health. You know, we all need it. Right. So thanks for sharing that, Heather. Anyone else want to come forward?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, my name's Tanya. Heather was saying, because you get to release a lot of the unnecessary energies, all your negatives from you, and that's why you were able to sleep better as well. And I think I'm just thankful for this walk in this past year and meeting Layla as well, you know, hooking up with the team and really learning a lot about what's going on. I'm just a baby. I'm trying to break through that barrier of that fear of stepping out and just doing lives and talking and things. Those kind of things are always playing on my mind. I'm always hard on myself, so I don't really give myself too much of a break. I can sit 16 hours totally investing in myself, but I'm not using my time wisely. Things like that I notice about myself, like my commitment is 100% there. And I don't even know where this is coming from with Chakra. But I do need to do a lot more meditation, I think. I need to take a little time out for myself. And I'm learning that, and I see it because, you know, you have to be, like, a doctor cannot be a doctor if he's not keeping himself in shape and helping people all the time. Same thing for ourselves, you know, like for the type of we do, we have to keep ourselves healthy so we can keep on going. And I need to be a little bit better for myself and myself more dedication and stick to the routine, like really involve myself with me so much, not with everybody else and what's going on. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Those are some great points tonight, you know. We're going to really address a lot of that understanding of the external influence versus, you know, turning within and really following that inner guidance. So, you know, you're right where you're supposed to be, Tanya, and thanks so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Cynthia or Judy, do you want to share tonight?
Go, Cynthia, go.
All right. Hi, I'm Cynthia, and I'm grateful for crying. I know that's probably a weird thing to say you're grateful for, but like, I'm not really good at it. I'm a tough individual that does not like allow myself to do that very often. And recently I've been having like just good crying spells, and it's very cleansing and feels very nice, but at the same time it's tough. But I'm grateful to have emotions. So crying is a good thing. Mm-hmm.
Crying is really a good thing because that's a way of releasing all that negative energy. You got to cry to get it out, in my humble opinion.
I agree with you, Judy. It's a great cleansing.
It's like a wash.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got it. It's got to have a way to release. It's got to get out of
well,
mm-hmm.
It felt like Niagara Falls, so I got real.
Yeah, that's good. That's really, really good. I'm a pro. I've been depressed for a really long time. No, so grateful, so many things. I'm going to say hustle, because this past week I moved our entire house. I just walked in the door with the final load. So we're finally settled in our new home. It's just gorgeous. And within a few days, mid unpacking, I got a call for a national radio spot. They wanted to interview me for free. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I built a website Sunday because I had a good place to send them because I was going to talk about a new test. So I've been stretched. I've been joyful and grateful first. And that's the way to go, because that's when things start dropping out of the sky. And it's just, we have evolved so quickly to this beautiful home. And it's just there. So there's, in my backyard, there's a bird feeder. It's like a little house. The bird that landed on it was bigger than the feeder. It was like a massive hawk. I mean, there's so much nature here. And I just know the environment is just so refreshing. And we've just been lifted out of this black hole that we've been living for about 8 years. And I don't know if it's the new year or I've been doing healing sessions with Angel. You know, all of it has lifted, and it's just like, I just wake up expecting for something awesome to happen. Every single day. It's still going on. It's awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And gratitude really helps with depression. So, you're a great testament to, the power of focusing your vibrational frequency, and then everything just being drawn to that and flowing with that, and being in harmony and grace with that. So that's beautiful, Judy. Thanks so much for sharing. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Does anybody else want to share? Anyone that's off camera?
Yeah, we can hear you. So you might as well share your gratitude. Andia, I think I hear you. Oh no, there's Joe. It's Joe.
Hey guys, for some reason I can't see anybody, but hopefully you can see me.
Yeah, we can see you, Joe.
I'm in my car, as you can see, but I don't know how long I can be on here or whatnot, but anyway, I just want to say I have had some Reiki with this beautiful woman here, and I've done Reiki myself. I can do Reiki. I haven't practiced it for a long time, but I think it's just part of always of who you are, and it's pretty awesome. And I am extremely, extremely thankful for myself, and extremely thankful for this new year. And it's been hard. It's been a little hard and challenging. When I say hard, it's been challenging. And I feel like I'm on the other side of it. And a good friend told me, I was like, this depression or something, and I've never been a depressed person. So I was really then beating myself up about that. Like, why don't you just get up, go out, answer the phone, whatever. But what my friend told me was it wasn't depression. It was a contraction, birthing me into something, more myself, more authentic. And when she said that, it was such a burden off of me. I was like, wow. But then I thought, well, fuck, that's the longest contraction I've ever been in. And I don't want to do it again. But, it won't be the last time. But now that I know what it is, I'll be able to navigate it if it comes around again. And I've been listening to a lot of Abraham Hicks. And you talk about the vibrational thing and the energy and things that now that I'm in the awareness and the allowing, things are flowing in. I am just so ready. So, yep, that's me.
Oh, that was beautiful, Joe. Thanks so much for sharing that. She's absolutely right. And that's one thing that Layla and I really try to encourage within the mentoring process is for people to understand everything is a natural cycle. So, a lot of our society, a lot of the external influences encourage us only to look at the good things or, the joyous things as teachings or where we want to sit. But the truth of the matter is a natural cycle consists of both, the positive and the negative. And so, that contraction that Joe was talking about is essential for our rebirthing. And Tanya was saying how she felt like she was a baby, starting things new and really exploring things kind of for the first time. That's what babies do, right? And that's part of the beginning of the the positive part, and I mean in polarity, I don't mean in good and bad, but the positive part of the polarity. So, Joe going through the contraction would be considered the negative aspect, and Tanya going through the feeling of being born or reborn again is more of the positive aspect. So it's great for us to really be aware of that and understand that health and balance really comes from understanding both of those cycles and living within both of those cycles, not just expecting only the good and the flow and the ease, because it's both the ease and the dis-ease that create the cycle.
And I just wanted to point out, since Amanda and I both went through hypnobirthing, the power of our words, okay? So when we went through this class and started to study, bringing our babies into the world in a grace and in a peace and in a calm environment, one of the things that we really focused on was the words that we use. So that contraction that you're in, when we think of contraction, we think of pain and squeezing and hurting. When we went through the hypnobirthing classes and reprogrammed our minds in this way, now whenever I hear contraction, I always think surge. So we would call them surges. So these surges, like you can't actually have a baby without these surges. You can't do it. It's not possible. So you need that, like Amanda's saying, that negativity, or you need that, sometimes that pain, right? So when you think of it as a surge, though, what I liked about that mental image in my mind is I knew that, a surge doesn't last forever. It's just whoosh, whoosh, right? So we're not always going to stay in that contracted state. We're not going to live there forever. It is a flow. It is a cycle, just like Amanda said. So thanks for that analogy. We got all this baby talk coming up. Must be baby time soon.
Hopefully not for a few more days for me.
I got things to do. I'm still working here. Okay, so anybody else want to share? I saw Sydney come on, sharing your gratitude. If not, we will get right into it. I don't see her little microphone, so she may be spectator only.
That's okay. That's not a problem. So let's start off actually with just a simple clearing meditation, just so that we can bring everybody into the space and to really create a safe place here. So if everyone just wants to sit back in their chairs, just to get yourself really comfortable, be able to feel all the surfaces that you're touching right now. So, if you're sitting in a chair, I want you to feel your feet on the ground. You can close your eyes. Feel the backs of your thighs on the back of the seat of your chair, rather. Feel your lower back touching the back of your chair, your middle back, your upper back. And if you're lying down, I want you to be able to feel all of the back surfaces of your body just touching, the couch or the bed, wherever it is that you're sitting right now. And I want us all to just take a nice deep breath in. And we're going to be breathing the earth energy up into our body. And then let it out. And as we let it out, we're allowing the universal energy to come into our being as well. So in the earth, out the universe. Do that a few more times at your own pace. And because it is the evening, we've mimicked other vibrations throughout the day, so I would like to encourage you all to brush off the road dust of the day. And there's no particular way that you'd have to do this. With smudging, we encourage wiping the eyes and the ears and the mouth and the nose, all of your sensory aspects. In Reiki, what we like to do is just take one hand and brush down the opposite side of the body with breath. And then again, come back to a place of stillness. You can have your hands resting on your thighs or any area of your body that you feel drawn to place your hands. If you have any areas of tension, that would be a great place to put your hands. And just breathe in that earth energy again. And breathe out the universal energy. Feel that earth energy come up into your heart. And then breathe out the universal energy into the heart. The heart is the area in which these energies co-create, coexist. And unite. So I'd like you now to take your hands into prayer position at your heart. And I want you to breathe in that earth energy, breathe out the universal energy, and I want you to feel all crevices of both of your hands touching one another. Just become aware of every nuance, every crevice, every surface that is touching and every surface that is not touching. And I want you to pay attention to the sensation that you're having there. Everybody experiences Reiki in their own perception. Just honor your perception. Now bring your hands up to your third eye. And we're just going to call upon the Reiki spirit, saying Reiki, Reiki, Reiki. You can lower your hands back down to your heart or even back down onto your thighs, wherever you feel drawn. And again, I want you to feel the difference of sensation now that we've called the Reiki spirit in. I want you to feel the sensation of your hands on your thighs or touching one another and see if there is a difference. If there isn't, that's okay. Just accept what is. Breathing in that earth and breathing out the universe. Earth, universe. Now in your mind's eye, I would like you all to create a circle. This circle is going to symbolize the safety and security that we bring into this space tonight. And anybody that comes into the circle from here on out will start to feel the Reiki vibration. So take your time in this space, and when you're ready to come out of it, you can either snap your fingers or clap your hands to bring you back into the room. And when you're all set here, fully present back into the space that we've created, this safe place, we'll get started with the presentation. How's everybody feeling? Is everybody feeling a little more grounded?
Aye, that was good.
Lots of yawning, teary-eyed. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, so I'm going to start the screen share here. So I'm going to pop us over onto this side, just so that right out of the way. So like we had discussed prior to, we're talking about the healthy development of our solar plexus. So let's get right into it here. So just a general overview of the solar plexus. The color is yellow. Yellow. So whenever somebody is drawn to the color of yellow, they're really trying to address matters of themselves. Okay, so the location of this chakra center is actually where our rib cage meets at the front of our body here. So if some people know anatomy, the xiphoid process would be in that area. But really, it's just where the two rib cages meet. So it symbolizes our ego and our personal identity. Ego and personal identity is pretty much the same thing. So don't get too caught up in the wording there. I may switch it out from time to time. It also symbolizes our willpower, or our will, or our power. And you know, if you weren't here with the last presentation, the question that I really encourage everybody to ask themselves is this my truth? And I really want to stress that it needs to be your truth, you know, not the external influences of others, but really sit within belief systems, understandings, brain patternings, and ask yourself, is this my truth? With the last workshop, we really targeted understanding, you know, almost the false belief systems in which we have been brought up in, which we have been sitting in for many, many years of our lives, and how we can reprogram those brain patternings. So if you're really interested in understanding that, make sure that you check out the last Chakra Foundation workshop. So the element that it represents here is fire. Okay, so fire burns all of the impurities, and it leaves the golden self behind. So really, the person in which you are here to be. And this fire gives us this inner passion, and it gives us this drive to be motivated in order to create action. In the Sanskrit world, it's, I always have fun with these words, Manipura, and it means the dwelling place of the jewels. So the affirmation that we carry in this area that really helps to create balance within our solar plexus is, I am here. Hello, here I am. I am here. And to really understand this in a greater degree is we need to understand our personal truths, our path in this world. So, you know, I really love this picture when I came across it, because I was like, this is too funny. A little giggle, it's always good. But we have to really truly understand that we paved the way within our own path. You know, we, especially if you are an entrepreneur, you have to really have those leadership skills. And in order for us to really cultivate and utilize those leadership skills, we have to follow our own path in this world. So it presents in our physical realm as our physical and our energetic pathways of nourishment. So the question here is, how do you nourish yourself? Or, you know, what are the things that you do to nourish you? So in the physical realm, our stomach, Our pancreas, our liver, our gallbladder, and our spleen are all in this area of our body where the solar plexus is. So these organs actually create detoxification, you know, that cleansing that we were talking about, or Layla used that term simple or simplify. You know, detoxification is doing exactly that. It also provides digestion, which is nourishing, you know, our body, our mind, our soul. And it helps with sugar regulation. So again, if our sugars are too high or if our sugars are too low, it creates an unstable foundation of our sense of boundary within health. So, you know, this area is really important for us to nurture on a regular basis. And you know, one of those faulty beliefs that I want people to kind of question within their mind is, you know, that term selfish. You know, for many years of my life, selfish was kind of used as a negative terminology. And there are times actually that being selfish is not a negative thing. So, you know, I really want you to become aware of whether you have that faulty belief programming within you that being selfish is not healthy, because it can actually create a lot of disease or distress within the other aspect. If you're too selfless, and you don't take care of yourself, you will create disease within your body and your being as well. So really understanding that dynamic of polarity between being selfish and selfless. So this is one of the reasons why we need to have strength in this area, is because this area holds our vitality in our being. So if you're not, you know, energetically secure and solid within your foundation, if you're not mentally solid and secure within your focus and your understanding, emotionally, if you don't accept your emotions, if you don't allow yourself to cry every once in a while or to get angry every once in a while, you're really creating that disease within the system. And then physically, you know, if you're not physically strong, and not just within strengthening, you know, exercises, but also within flexibility, because if we're not flexible, we're not pliable, and the muscles can snap and break and tear and all that kind of stuff. So we really need to understand that balance as well between the strengthening and the stretching of our body, our physical body. So conflict is what is felt here. Okay, so if you're a person who always has stomach aches, or if you always feel congested within that area that's right underneath your rib cage, you're going through a lot of confliction within your being. And a lot of this confliction has to do with whether your internal guidance or your internal needs meet your external influences or even your external actions. Okay, so whether we're aligning ourselves with, you know, the right people, whether we're aligning ourselves with the right exercise regime, you know, it's all of these types of things. So really, I want you to start to become aware of these and ask yourself that question on a regular basis: how am I nourishing myself today? So the imbalances show up in our being through an individual who is seeking external approval or praise, and they need this in order to create action in their life, okay? Feeling an abundance of shame. If you always feel very shameful, then this chakra is definitely out of balance for you, okay? So lost in your own authority. Again, we talked about authority within the sacral plexus because that's where it's truly developed. So if you want to know more about authority, you need to go back to the sacral plexus workshop in order to really get the full understanding of how to build authority again. Okay, and when you lose your sense of authority, you actually give your power away to these external sources. So in order to reclaim that, we really need to become those creative, sexual, sensual beings and understand that we create our own authority. So an imbalance also shows up as defensiveness or being defensive. And the reason why we become defensive is because we don't have a healthy understanding of what is acceptable. And the reason why we don't have that is because of not being brought up with or having a healthy understanding of what boundaries are. Okay, so this was one of the major things for me. Boundaries was a huge kind of something rather that wasn't really cultivated or encouraged within me as a child. And I don't know if many of you saw my Facebook Live earlier, but it was all to do with, grief and loss. And losing boundaries is a huge thing. And for many, many years of my life, I fell into deep bouts of depression, and I had post-traumatic stress syndrome. And, I even got to the point of having cancer in my life because of all of the disease or dis-ease within my life. And so, coming to this healthy understanding of what boundaries are, again, if you want to know the full essence of what healthy boundaries are, check out the root chakra workshop. That will explain boundaries to its fullest extent for you and how you can create healthy boundaries within yourself. But this whole essence of building a healthy chakra foundation has to start off with healthy boundaries. Okay, so it's great that we're talking about the solar plexus right now, but we really need to dive deep into the root and the sacral plexus before we can build upon that. Okay, so make sure you check that out, understand your healthy boundaries so that you can start to eliminate that defensive aspect of ourselves. So another imbalance that will show up is emotional disturbances. Okay, so not accepting emotions in their fullest capacity. Okay, and the reason why we don't accept our emotions is because we have a lack of self-esteem. All right, and we'll get into how we can, kind of work through or resolve this lack of self-esteem in the future slides. But really coming to an understanding that all emotions, regardless of whether you were taught as a young child or you were told as an adult that they're unacceptable, every emotion is acceptable. Every emotion is needed. Emotion means to move, to emote. And it allows us to move through an experience or a situation and truly learn from that situation if we allow the emotion to be felt. If you try to avoid it or push it aside or not accept it for what it is, you're going to create that disease again within your system. So really try to come to a place of accepting the emotion for just being what it is, and that all emotions serve us, regardless of whether them being considered a positive emotion or a negative emotion. Okay? So now let's talk about the balance of the solar plexus. So the balance of a solar plexus governs our power and our will, or our willpower. It creates a peace and inner harmony within ourselves, because then we really know where our place is in this world. We understand our gifts. We understand what we're here for. And when you have a lack of understanding, you really feel lost. Again, grief, sorrow, presents when we feel loss, right? So we really want to kind of work through these moments of feeling lost so that we can actually be found again. Okay, so finding our place or understanding our knowledge of place in this world. So a balanced solar plexus actually creates, it actually purifies toxicity on all levels of our being. So, you know, the 4 levels of our being, our spiritual, our mental, our emotional, and our physical levels of being. So you can really, when toxins enter in, regardless of whether they're energetic toxins or physical toxins, mental toxins, emotional toxins, they can really just be burnt up, and we can restore this balance within our being, this homeostasis, this health, and that's a very important thing for us. So the healthy development here. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about personal identity and ego. Okay, so the last presentation we were talking about the healthy ego and how a healthy ego really is a balance between the rational mind and the intuitive mind or intuitive aspect of our being. Okay, so I really want you to understand that the rational part of the mind is the masculine energy, is that positive polarity, whereas the intuition is just that sense of knowing or that gut feeling, and that is the feminine aspect of our being. That's the negative polarity. Okay, and it's really important for us to create balance between both of those things. Okay, so however, what has happened within our societal norm these days is that we've been encouraged primarily to live within only the positive polarity, and this creates a lot of mental instability because the rational mind, especially with grief and loss, grief and loss cannot be rationalized. So then we're seeking something, we're searching for something that we will never be able to find. And so that's why we really need to encourage the intuitive aspect of our being so that we can really live within that heart's voice and be able to balance and create mental stability, and really stability and solidity with our whole entire being. Okay, so when we're talking about personal identity, the question that we want to ask here is, do I know myself? Okay, so how many people, you know, truly know that what their favorite food is, you know, for many, many years. And of course, these things change, but for many, many years, you know, I fell into that place of kind of following the crowd, right? So as a child, what was your favorite food? It was pizza, you know. All kids love pizza, right? But now that I'm an adult, when I think about pizza, I'm like, I actually don't, that's probably not my favorite food now, right? And like I said, everything does change, but that's a good thing to understand as well, is that everything does change and that we need to continually check in and understand, you know, do you know yourself? Do I know what my favorite food is? If somebody were to ask me what my favorite color was, do I know those things? Do I know, you know, my purpose here in the world? Do I know what my gifts are? That's a huge question to really ask ourselves. Do I know what my gifts are? Because many of us, again, we follow the crowd, and so we need to really understand how to pull ourselves out of being a follower and step in this place of being a leader and paving our own pathway. So let's look more into this personal identity, okay? So it consists of 3 things here. So first, it consists of our self-determination. So your ability to use your will and to actualize your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual potentials. So if you look at this picture here, you know, so many people will sit in a place of, this is impossible, right? But if you just took those 2 letters away, the I am, and even spacing them out, I am possible, right? You know, and really come to that place of understanding that self-determination and self-motivation comes from within you. It's not an external source. And we really need to sit within ourselves in order to cultivate that motivation, and to understand ourselves so that we know where to place our focus in order to really utilize our energy to its fullest capacity. So the second part of our personal identity is our self-esteem, or this word can be replaced with self-respect or even self-worth, okay? So, again, looking at this picture here, it says, I can't, and even if you just cut out the T of it, I can, right? So how we feel about ourselves and about our ability to grow and change. So when it comes to growing and changing, really coming back to the natural cycle of things. And, as Joe was talking about, and even Tanya was talking about, and really, I think everybody that came out and gave their word of gratitude is really starting to understand, that we need to learn from both that negative and that positive vibrational frequency. Okay, so it's not about only living within a positive vibe constantly. It's about embracing and accepting where you are at the moment and learning from both those vibrational frequencies, and then trying to create balance between the two. And then the third part of our personal identity is our self-concept. Okay, so how you perceive yourself and your potential. Okay, so whether you feel like, the goals that you're setting and the actions that you're taking are actually going to move you into the space in which you need in order to learn the lessons that you want to learn or achieve the goals in which you want to achieve. So do you feel like you have a good perception of yourself and your potential? So what you want to, as I've said in the past, it's really important for us to come to a place of awareness, and a healing journey truly starts when we get into this place of awareness, okay? This place of observation, same word, or two different words, same thing. So if you can really come to this place of observation, you're going to really step on that healing path, okay? So what you want to be observing within yourself or your personal identity is in your spiritual body. You want to understand the universal life force energy. So, as I was talking to you with the first meditation that we went through, I was getting you to feel the nuances or the crevices between both your hands touching. And some of us may have felt different sensations. Sometimes I feel heat, sometimes I feel cold. As Joe was saying about the contraction, if I sit long enough within my energy vibration and just become aware of it, I can feel the expansion and contraction of that vibrational frequency. So really sitting in that place of awareness and understanding, how you can sense the flow of your energy. What does it feel like? What does it feel like when you're interacting with other people, or when you're, still within yourself? And then what does it feel like internally? And then also what does it feel like externally? So just really becoming aware of this energetic sensation. And most of the energy vibrational form comes, and I wouldn't say comes into, but is kind of more associated with, rather, the upper 3 chakra centers. Okay, so this is where we send and receive most of our vibrational information, is within the throat, the third eye, and the crown chakra. Okay, so then we want to also look at the physical body awareness, okay? So how you experience your physical presence. So the body and the sensations that are around you, right? So, what is an indication of pain versus an indication of resistance for you? What does it feel like when you go into a concert? And even that, if you have music playing, what do you feel like internally? Do you feel your organs contract? Do you feel your organs relax with certain tones, vibrations, music, because music is a vibration, or words, like Layla was saying, that word contraction versus surge. When you really sit there and even just listening to my voice, using that word contraction, how do you feel physically versus using the word surge? I personally feel a lot lighter with surge. And when I hear that word contraction, that's what it makes me want to do. It makes me want to tense up, right? So to really become aware of our physical body and the different vibes that are coming in there. So you want to become aware of the environment. So whether you feel different inside your home versus outside in nature. Judy was talking about her bird feeder and just loving the nature and what it brings to her. And then I want you to really understand a different environment. So, whether you're in a social setting versus a more intimate setting, and the way that those things make you feel. Okay, so you also want to become aware of these natural impulses. So our very natural instincts, again, that many of us have been led to believe in a faulty belief system are unhealthy or inappropriate, like burping and farting and coughing and sneezing. These things are natural, and we need to allow them to flow when they need to flow. We should not hold them in. We should not try to deter them in any way. They need to come out, and a lot of the times they are what is creating a release within our body. And a lot of the times they are creating that homeostasis or that equilibrium or that balance within our system. So really starting to let go of that faulty belief system of, girls don't fart, or that belching is inappropriate, especially at the dinner table, even farting at the dinner table. That was one of the faulty beliefs that were embedded in me. Because these are, what I said, they're faulty belief systems, and we need to honor our body, because our body serves us in a great way. But if we're trying to hold back things that are natural, it's going to create that dis-ease again. So posture as well, we need to become aware of our posture and our stress responses. So that parasympathetic versus the sympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic, rest and digest, and then the sympathetic is that fight and flight, and understanding how to what's called neuromodulate, but how to really create that wave of stressing and then de-stressing, stressing and then de-stressing. Okay. We need to become aware of our self-triggers of stress. Okay, so we need to track these cyclings, whether it be a mental stress, an emotional stress, a physical stress, or even an energetic stress. We need to understand what is creating stress. A lot of people, know the dynamic that stress can be positive or negative, but we really need to understand, that sometimes even positive stressors can create negative stress, right? So understanding how our body responds when we are under too much stress, and how we can alleviate those stressors, or how we can nourish ourselves in order to create that balance again. Okay, so we also need to be aware of our memory responses. Okay, so there's two different memories. We've gone through this in the past, so I'll just go through it quickly again. Explicit versus implicit memories. Explicit memories are the feel great memories, and implicit memories are the not so feeling great memories. Okay, so we need to really look at implicit memories in particular, and we need to reprogram those. So, Tanya was talking about, getting used to doing these Facebook Lives. Okay, so I have to say to you, Tanya, that Layla has been asking me to do these presentations for years, and I mean years. I'm not talking about last year. I'm not talking about the year before. I'm talking about like probably 4+ years. Okay, and I had an implicit memory of a television program that I was on, and it was called Supermodels. It was a global show, way back before Next Top Model or whatever came out. And I was put down so bad, my self-esteem just plummeted. And, I criticized myself at the way that I looked, my crooked smile, and a lot of it had to do with the influence of the externals, the way that they looked at me on that show. And so it deterred me for the longest time to step in front of the camera. And it took me a few years of Layla, trying to encourage me, but I made it. And, I don't do half of the, I sometimes don't even look at the replays just so that I'm not criticizing myself, to be quite honest. But when I do, I come from it from a place of kindness and compassion and forgiveness that I've never come from before. And that is because of, the Reiki Mastery program I'm going through, and understanding boundaries, and understanding all of these concepts of building my chakras. Okay, so really getting to that place of reprogramming these bad memories or these awful experiences that we've had in the past that created these implicit memories, and just doing those things that make us feel uncomfortable and reprogramming those things, and that's really the only way that we can get through these negative type experiences that we've had, is to truly reprogram them. Okay, so that's another thing to become aware of. Emotional patterning. So understanding the patterning of stress and the emotional link. So the mental, emotional, and physical responses. So, if somebody was abused, what are the mental patterns that they go through when they meet even an energetic component of an abuser, right? What are the emotions that present when they come into contact with somebody that they can feel or sense or just even observe, whether they're interacting with another individual, and its characteristics of abuse or trauma that they've experienced in the past. How do you start thinking, or what is the patterning that you start thinking about versus what is the emotions that present? And then how does your physical body react to it as well? Because those three things are generally linked, okay? And you can start to understand those patternings. And once you do understand those patternings and you become aware of those patternings, you can catch them, or you can take yourself out of that situation even before you get there, okay? Because you can just flag it, right? So, for instance, excuse me, in the past, I've experienced betrayal from a person or two, probably. And I know what that sensation of betrayal feels like within my body, within my mind, within my emotions. And so if I come into contact with somebody that's holding that same vibration of betrayal, I can pick it up even before it's created into physical reality, okay? Because I've become so aware of that energetic patterning. All right, so I just want you to really, I just want to really encourage you to start to understand these aspects of your being and become aware of them, okay? So within our personal identity, you know, if we really want to dive deeper into understanding it, here's some questions that you can reflect upon, okay? So do I see what I can or could become? Do I understand I have everything within me right now to become that person? Do I pay attention to my body and how it feels in all situations? Do I understand when I am overloaded and need to rest? Does my body feel different with different emotions running through it? And how does anger feel, or what does anger feel like? And what does love feel like? And then the last question, good question, who am I? Okay, so a few things to remember here. First, sorry, actually, I'm not going to go into that right now. What I want to do is I want to get into another meditation here, just really encouraging, you know, the understanding of kind of an open chakra center versus a closed one. And I don't really want you to focus on whether your chakras are open and closed. I want you to focus on them being balanced. But I also want you to understand, you know, that concept of contraction and expansion of our vibrational form, okay? So, you know, some people might interchange that with being open or closed. Okay, so if everybody wants to just come into their chair again, I'm gonna grab a glass of, or a drink of water here. So just come and sit back into your chairs again. And I want you to start to become aware of all of those sensations again, of your feet touching the ground. Make yourself comfy. The backs of your thighs touching the seat of your chair. And then your back touching the back of your chair. You know, if you have a headrest part, feel the back of your head resting there. And then I just want you to take that earth breath in. So breathe in the earth. And then breathe out the universe. Just bring yourself in complete awareness of your presence right here, right now. Breathe in that earth. And out the universe. And so what I want you to do is I want you to just take a moment and I want you to just clench your fists as tight as you possibly can. I want you to be white knuckling it, you know, just squeeze them as hard as you possibly can, okay? And breathe in that earth and breathe out that universe and feel the sensation within your whole entire body with just having your fist clenched. Breathe in that earth and breathe out the universe. Now what I want you to do is I want you to release your hands. And I just want you to let them fall in a jelly lake. So no significant flexion in your fingers. I want them to be completely loose and relaxed. And I want you to breathe that earth energy in and the universal energy out. So the first part, you know, that you sense with the fists clenched, a lot of the times this is what our physical body, our energetic body, even our mental, emotional feel like when we have that conflict from internal understanding and guidance to external action and influence. Okay, or this would kind of depict what a closed sensation would be like, or a contracted sensation would be like. Breathe in that earth. And breathe out the universe. The second sensation that we are experiencing with our hands just completely relaxed. You know, how did your breath feel coming in and out versus when you had your fist clenched? This sensation is when we're in harmony and in grace. Okay, this is actually the expansion or the growth within our energetic system. And so this is when everything's in alignment, when our internal guidance and our internal wisdom, internal intuition, even our rational mind is in complete alignment with our external being, our external influences, our external actions. And so this would be, you know, that grace and that harmony. Now I want you to take your hands and I want you to place them on any area of your body that you kind of feel like it's either closed or contracted or stagnant or stuck. I'm going to place my hands on my throat. Now I want you to take a nice earth breath in and allow the universal breath to escape. Earth breath in, a universal breath out. And I want you to just become aware and accept the awareness between your hands and whatever area of the body you have your hands placed on right now. We're going to just do some Reiki here for a second. So you're just going to hear me speak under my breath. I just want you to fully be aware and pay attention to bringing the earth breath in and the universal breath out. Now I want you to draw your awareness to the space that's in between your hands and whatever area of the body you're touching. Now I want you to honor any changes that may have occurred, whether they be subtle or significant or even none at all. Take a couple more inhales and exhales. Focusing on creating space within that area. You can bring your hands back down to your thighs if you're not already there. Take a few more inhales and exhales. Breathing in that earth energy and out the universal energy. When you're ready to come back into the room, you can snap your fingers, clap your hands. Sometimes I even like to pat my thighs. Bring me back. And welcome back, ladies. So let's look at these things that we need to remember. So to truly develop a healthy solar plexus, we must be able to express freedom of choice. Okay, that's one of the major things that we're here for, is to be able to express freedom of choice and free will. Okay, so this ego that so many people, especially people who are on their spiritual journey, are taught to disengage or deactivate or not attach themselves to, I've come to understand that this is actually a false perception. We need to have our ego. Our ego is what motivates us, creates that self-determination, our self-concept, and our self-worth. And if we didn't have those things, we wouldn't feel like we had a purpose here. Okay, so having an ego is an actually healthy thing, but when the way that it becomes unhealthy is when we're only engaging the ego in a rational sense. Okay, so we need to really surrender ourselves to the creation of our heart, of the openness of the heart. So make sure that we're following our heart's voice instead of our head's voice. And that's why in healing, we need to truly understand how we can create a quiet mind. Hence why we encourage Reiki or meditation to quiet that squirrely, whirly mind of ours that's very influenced by our external sources, so that we can really truly hear the heart's voice, because the heart's voice is very quiet, especially compared to the head's voice. So we really need to come from that place of surrendering our ego to the heart, okay? And of course, all of our boundaries, our authority, and understanding our ego is really, and our intuition is really formed within our childhood years. However, if we weren't brought up with those healthy, with that healthy development, how do we restore that? It's a good question. So before we get to that point, I really want people to understand that, children rebelling to establish independence is actually a healthy thing. So many of us, we want to avoid or deter our child from, throwing those temper tantrums or creating those boundaries. And it's actually a very important thing for children to go through in order for them to develop this personal identity. Okay, so independence is an individual breaking away from control, influence, and beliefs of external sources. So like I said, how do we develop a healthy solar plexus if we were brought up in a unhealthy guidance? So, it's great for us to understand as parents, we need to set boundaries, absolutely. And we need to consistently follow through with these boundaries in order to form a healthy foundation. But the thing that we need to understand is that we should not be forcing our perception or our beliefs or our personal experiences on these children, okay? So, just because I've been to the dentist so many times and I don't like the dentist, because it's painful and I have all of these reasons why I don't like the dentist. It doesn't mean that we need to force that perception on our child, okay? So in forcing this perception on our child, we're actually trying, and when I say on our child, if you don't have children, or even if you do have children, understand that there is our inner child as well, okay? So it's really important for us as adults to reprogram these inner child faulty belief patterns or systems. So the reason why a lot of parents force their perception or their belief system or their experiences on children is because they're trying to control them, okay? And this is what actually creates that distortion of authority. So the child starts to believe that, the parent has more authority over them than they have over themselves. For instance, I was talking to my massage therapist the other day, and she was talking to me about a person that she knows and how this individual that she knows actually is so controlling over her children that her children now have to ask her whether it's okay for them to go pee, okay? So instead of this child expressing their freedom of choice and their free will of being able to get up and go to the washroom when they need to, because it's a natural impulse to have to go pee, they now are asking permission to go pee, okay? This broke my heart when I heard this, because this can go to such an extreme for so many people that they want to try to control. And coming from that place of controlling is just us trying to deter the natural process or the natural cycling of what is. Okay, so we really need you to listen. Oh, sorry. So this statement here, you need to listen to me because I know better than you. So many, parents bring their children up that way, or I'm bigger than you, so I know more than you. Again, this is a very false or distorted way of thinking. Children are very in touch with nature, and sometimes children actually are more connected with themselves, with their boundaries, with their authority than adults are, because we've lived for so long that we have these distorted or these faulty belief systems built up in us. So, to think that this statement is true, it can be very harmful and traumatic to many children, okay, especially your inner child. So this false way of raising a child, or even raising your inner child, we do this because our guidance, or our elders, or our parents, they were either submissive or aggressive with their boundaries. Okay, so, or didn't have boundaries, so that would probably fall more towards the submissive part of boundaries. So when I was dealing with the grief of my mother over this past Christmas, my mom passed away about maybe 4.5 years ago now. And, of course, there's always those difficult times, their birthday, their death day, Christmas especially. And really coming to a place that I could sit and review my life events with her, and to really understand the emotions that presented from those particular life events. And, hearing statements that my mother used to tell me all the time, that she never felt like she was heard. There would be some times where she would yell or she would cry, and she'd be like, no, nobody wants to hear the way that I'm truly feeling, or, you know, that I can't express myself the way that I want to. You know, these were grief. This was a lot of grief that she had experienced. But what I came to realize is that that was actually passed on to me as well. Okay. And so, you know, coming to this resolution of grief with my mom has really made me aware, and to be able to observe these, you know, unhealthy boundaries that my mother either had created or hadn't created at all. And so it allows me to understand, you know, where my unhealthy boundaries are. Okay, so sometimes it's good for us to reflect back and see the patterning through our generations. Okay, so, you know, a while back, Layla was talking about, she was talking about, you know, the residential schools that her family was brought up in. You know, being from Brantford, we are really close to Six Nations. Layla herself is Mohawk. And, you know, we were talking about our mothers, and something was brought up with Layla's mom of Layla's mom not being able to express love to her. And so Layla started to reflect back and understand that this was a generational patterning that had occurred, right? So with, you know, there's some people that are given unconditional love, and then there's some people that are not given love at all. And love is one of the boundaries that we need to create for ourselves. So her being able to understand that that was an unhealthy boundary for her, she has now been able to reprogram it or become aware of it within her and her children. So now this patterning doesn't have to be passed on to be learnt by many more generations. We can kind of nip it in the bud now and create those healthy patternings for our children and our children's children and so forth. So this second part of our solar plexus that we really want to understand here is this willpower, or this will, or this power. So what is will? Will is the energy summoned to maintain our focus on any given task. Okay, so will is the doorway through which all must pass if they really want to become more or different than what they are in this present moment. So this doorway is called the doorway of will. Okay, so will is also the force that helps us to make our decisions and then act to carry out those decisions. Okay, so we can learn to exercise our will by carrying out these 3 simple steps. Okay, so first and foremost, we want to learn how to focus our attention, how to create concentration. You know, meditation is one of those ways in order to create concentration. In the natural cycle, focus is created in the east. The east is where the sun rises, okay? So this is a very important time for us to create focus. When it comes to Buddhism, they have these singing bowls. And these singing bowls create a sense of focus. Okay, so there are many ways that we can create focus, and it really is up to you to understand how you can create your own focus. In Indigenous wisdom, we really call upon the medicines, we call upon the 4 directions of the grandfathers to provide guidance and to help us maintain that focus or that prayer or that thought. Okay, so really explore, understand which ways in which you can create focus, and you really want to be doing this at the beginning of your day. Okay, step number 2. Intention setting. Okay, so intention setting is something that I never really understood. I always thought, I always was very familiar with focus and action, but never really understood intent. Okay, so when it comes to intent, we have to understand whether, this focus in which we are creating is going to actually create the action in which we want to play out. Okay, and what are the steps in between? Those steps in between are what the intent is, right? So there's many things that you can do to form intent. Gratitude is one of them, especially if you understand the law of attraction. You really want to create an intent of where that energy is being placed in order to create the action behind it. Okay, so intention is really that bridge between focus and action, and the steps in which we're going to take in order to get to that active place. Okay, so this would be considered to be more of the southeast direction. Okay, so in the southeast direction, this is where we create that motivation. Okay, in order to get to the number 3, action, right? So action is part of the south direction. The south direction is, of course, where the sun is at its hottest in our natural cycling. And it speaks for itself. It's action, right? So physically doing or acting towards achieving the goal, or actively working towards using our willpower. Okay, so everybody's still on board here? Yeah, good, excellent. So a couple of things to consider as you're exercising your will. Okay, so first and foremost, all human beings have the capacity for growth and change. Continually understanding the cycle of transformation. Okay, so after action, we would go to the west where we'd look at reflection. Okay, and then after reflection, we would go to the north where we look at integration. So whether these tools, whether these actions in which we've taken are actually creating a change or growth towards the goal in which we're trying to achieve here. Okay, so that's the full cycle there, and then we'd be rebirthed or transformed into the next phase of our journey, of our path, and then that's where we'd create that focus again. Okay, so all human beings can grow and change. Sorry, the 4 aspects of our nature can be developed when we have a vision of what is possible, and when we use our will to to change our actions and our attitudes, we will be closer to our vision of happy, healthy human being, right? So you need to continually go through these cyclings, the cycling of the east where we create focus, the southeast where we create intent, the south where we create action, the west where we create reflection. West is where the sun sets. So, that's when you want to be doing most of your reflecting, your winding down, your still aspect of being, and then of the north where we integrate. So, the north is where there is no sun anymore, and we really want to be focusing on healing and creating a healthy environment so that we can wake up the following morning in the northeast and be reborn again, so that we can do it all over again, create that focus in the east. Okay, so we gain a vision of what our potential is from our elders, our mentors, and from the teachings in which our elders and mentors give us. but trying to live up to these visions, and by trying to live like the people we admire, we grow and develop, okay? So, important thing here, you need to align yourself with the proper mentor, okay? If you're a person who doesn't believe in Reiki, who doesn't believe in nature connections, I am not the mentor for you, okay? It's like trying on a pair of pants. When you are seeking a mentor, it's important for you, or when you're meeting an elder, it's important for you to understand what their belief systems are and who they are as an individual, and really understand whether that's what you're trying to achieve in your life. If somebody comes from a place of fear and of an ungrounded state, particularly myself, I wouldn't want to be mentored by them, right? If somebody is coming from a place of just a spiritual background, again, I don't personally want to be mentored by them, because I understand that we are human beings. We have spiritual aspects of ourselves, but we are here to be human beings, and we really need to live within the earth, live within the natural cycles of the earth. And this is my belief. So it's really important for us to come to a place of understanding who we are as an individual in order to align ourselves with the proper mentor. And then don't feel shame if you decide that you've been mentored by this individual for a while and that your belief systems don't align. That is okay. We are all here to learn, and we are all here to change and flow with the natural cycle. So if you felt like, there's services provided for you in the past, and you're now starting to feel that confliction or that contraction happening when you're meeting with them, or you're feeling that resistance pop up, that's okay, but honor that and speak your truth when it comes to that. Let them know that you don't feel like you're in alignment anymore, and that you need to move forward with your path and your journey. This has happened to me time and time again with my mentors. I started off as a massage therapist, and the man that I first started mentoring with, he actually was the one who encouraged me to leave the clinic setting that we were in, and to branch out on my own, because he felt like I had surpassed his knowledge base, and that I needed to move forward in order to obtain and grow and change as an individual. And he felt like if I stayed, within that clinical setting with him, that I would become stagnant and stuck and diseased within my being. And so, I'm very thankful for him recognizing that and encouraging me to spread my wings and to fly in my own direction and walk my own path. Okay, so this is really important as well. So our vision of what we can become is like a strong magnet pulling us towards it, of the law of attraction. Judy was talking about it today, about her, her moving and how quickly she moved to a space in which really feeds who she is as a person, who really encourages her to connect in a deeper sense with nature. And when we have this greater understanding of who we are as a personal identity or ego, and then understanding that our will, our summoning of energy is what creates that alignment, everything just starts to flow and balance and create that ease within our being. So there's some questions that we want to ask ourselves when we're talking about our will or our willpower, and these are what I encourage you to reflect upon. Okay, so do I really feel like I focus on my vision or my dreams? And if you're a person who is imbalanced in this area. And at first, you have a mentor who guides you along their path of dreams and of visions. That's okay. But I'm hoping that mentor really encourages you to understand what your potential is and what your gifts are. Because we are all a gift to this world, and it's important for us to follow that gift and understand that gift so that we can create our own visions and our own dreams. Okay, so do I feel like I have the willpower to achieve my potential? If not, what do I believe is stopping me? And do I set intentions for myself to grow and change? And then do I act upon my ideas, my visions, and my dreams? Okay, so, for many years of my life, I kind of didn't trust within my dreams. I didn't trust, and Layla was talking about this at the beginning, I didn't really share many of the visions that I had or the dreams that I had. And a lot of it was fear-based, so if you want to learn to eliminate fears, make sure you check out the first couple of chakra foundations. There is one on fears and how to purge fears. That's the important thing about this journey, is that's the one thing that detaches us from our root, from our earth, our boundaries. So make sure that you're getting those fears out into the open, understanding them so that you can actually rationalize them instead of them letting you go on that hamster wheel of worry and fear. But, coming to this place of understanding my dreams or my visions and how to express them. So for many years of my life, I thought that I didn't know how to draw. Okay. And it sounds silly, but again, it was a faulty belief that I had ingrained into myself. And Layla one day asked me to draw her not even draw her, but she said, I would love for somebody to do their own take on that famous painting, The Starry Night. And so, I was like, yeah, Layla, I don't know why you're talking to me about this, because I can't draw or paint or do anything of that nature. And then just one day out of the blue, I just started attempting it, and it came out beautifully. I actually just did it with pencil, and I learned so much about shading and the dynamic of texture through different pencil strokes. And I just learned so much from being able to take even somebody else's vision or idea and creating a physical object or that action out of it. And since then, it's really encouraged me to express all of my visions and my ideas and my dreams. I'm actually going to share one with you that I absolutely love. So in the indigenous teachings, the turtle is the teacher. And so I had this vision of this turtle here, and the top here symbolizes the universal conscious, and there's a little lotus flower in there. And then the legs of the turtle actually represent the four elements, so fire, water, wind down here, and then earth. And then in the center here, what I've done is these are the actual light spectrum or the rainbow spectrum. And, this creates a huge amount of focus for me when I really want to you know, have a deeper concentration on healing and health and connecting to the natural cycles. So these are other ways in which you can create that focus, that first step in expressing your willpower. Okay. So I'm gonna stop the share here. So how's everybody doing? Everyone okay? Awesome. Does anybody have any comments, anything that they want to share about tonight's workshop? Any takeaways that you got?
I'd certainly like to thank you for your time. You've shared quite a bit with us. That was very nice. A lot of energy. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very honored to be able to facilitate this and really bring that sense of understanding of our personal worth and self-respect and personal identity and will. But before we head out, I do want to do one more meditation if you're all willing, and then we can either give our gratitude, or I can say a general gratitude, close off the circle, and we can head out for the evening if you're all okay with that. Yeah. Okay. If you're ready for the last meditation, just come back into your seats again and just get yourself comfortable. You can close your eyes if you like. Just bring out that extra sensory component. So I want everybody to just take that nice earth breath in. And that universal breath out. Earth in, a universal breath out. And bring your hands to your heart center. I am the earth. I am the heavens. I am here. I want you to repeat I am here to yourself 3 times. I am here. I am here. Your next breath in, I want you to visualize that light of yellow surrounding you, embracing you, engulfing you. Feel it at your feet, your shins, your knees, your thighs, your buttock and pelvis, your waist, hips, your abdominal area, your lower back, where your rib cage meets, front and back. Backs of your shoulder blades and between your shoulder blades, your chest, your breasts, your throat, your shoulders, your arms, your forearms and hands, your jaw, your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your forehead, top of your head, the back of your head. Breathe that yellow energy in and out. I am here. I am here. I am here. Now I want you to take your toes and I want you to squeeze them real tight with me when you breathe in. When you breathe out, I want you to relax them. Your next breath in, I want you to point your toes up to the ceiling. And with your breath out, I want you to allow your soles of your feet to fall to the ground. Next breath in, I want you to squeeze your bum together. And breath out, allow it to relax. Next breath in, I want you to almost curl like you're in the fetal position, contracting your abdominal. And when you breathe out, just allow everything to fall back into your seat, back touching the back of your seat. Breath in, I want you to squeeze all of your hands and your forearms and your arm really tight. Breathe in. And breathe out, I want you to relax everything. Let your hands fall to your thighs. Breathe in, I want you to tense the front of your throat, pushing your tongue up to the roof of your mouth. Breathe out, allow your tongue to fall away. Breathing in, I want you to squeeze your eyes as tight as you can shut. And breathing out, I want you to relax your eyes. Now I just want you to return back to the awareness of breathing the earth in and breathing the universe out. Becoming aware of any changes that may have occurred since the beginning of our meditation here. Return back to your normal breath. Now whenever you're ready, you can snap your fingers, clap your hands. I want you to visualize the circle being opened again. Allowing us to come back into the room, be fully present. If you feel like you need to move anything, go ahead and move. If you need to pat your thighs or even your head, just bring you back. Do so. And I just want to thank all of you ladies for joining me, sticking with me, and you know, just embracing who you are and why you're here. And in the next month, I believe in February, Sheila Hinton, one of our coaches here with the Women's Connection, is going to be offering a workshop on your why. So, you know, what we were just talking about tonight, you know, that purpose, but really truly understanding why you are here. And she has some really great material, especially, you know, if you're into that, into the marketing stream of avenue. She really comes from it from that perspective. but she is also a healthcare provider, massage therapist, and is currently in school right now to do some other health-related things. So I'm sure she'll be adding a few of those things into the mix, but make sure that you keep an eye out for her in February, and that's the next workshop that will be provided for the Women's Connection. However, for me, I got a baby coming. So you might not see me for a little while, but when I do come back, I'm really looking forward to exploring from the heart chakra up with all of you ladies. And again, I just want to give my utmost gratitude for each and every one of you for taking the time for yourself tonight. To really understand who you are, to be present with yourself, and to create that stillness that we all need at this time of the evening to be able to reflect and understand what are the next steps we want to take. So thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Have a beautiful baby.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
Is it
Yeah,
your
thank
first
you.
baby?
No, actually, it's my second baby.
All right, good.